Hey guys, what's going on? Absolute Beast here, bringing you guys a race today on Road America using the IndyCar. So first of all, I'm sorry that I haven't uploaded in several days. I've been having some real issues with the Upload Studio, which is a program that I use through the Xbox to voiceover and upload clips. There have been some real serious issues that I've run into, and it's ended up being an absolute monster headache, and it's been basically unbearable to have to deal with this. So needless to say, I'm extremely excited that at the very least, starting at the beginning of November with the 1X, I'll be able to record my clips and have them done on my PC instead of relying on the Xbox to do this. And then also the new program which allows me to record straight to an external hard drive. Anyway, this is just logistical stuff. I know you guys don't care, but I'm just giving you a reason for why I haven't uploaded in several days, because I was going every day there for a while, and it's just I literally I'm at the wit's end. Like, I'm ripping out my hair trying to deal with uploading this. So hopefully this one works. But anyway, this is a race on Road America with the IndyCar. So when I looked in the Rivals mode a while back, earlier, I guess it would have been last week, it looked like there were only a handful of events, and that's what I told you guys. But in general, with this game, with Forza 7, there's a lot going on the different screens. Like when you're in the career menu or when you're in a race menu or something, there's just a lot of stuff on screen at one time, and a lot of stuff to take in. So I didn't realize that there were multiple events underneath each of these, you know, what I thought were events. So I went in there thinking that each of these were events, and there were only like 5 of them. But man, that was a good turn there. But what I realized was that there were actually different events underneath each subheading. So this was one of the events that I found that I was like, oh, absolutely, I'm racing that. I wanted to race it right away. So the IndyCar is one of the... Man, I hated that I dirtied it right there. So the IndyCar I really enjoyed driving the IndyCar on Forza 5. We drove... They had a cool event where there was an Indianapolis 500, where we got to drive 500 miles in Indianapolis, which ended up being like a 225 lap race. Had full damage and everything online in the multiplayer, which was really epic. And that's sort of where my real hard... I mean, I was competitive before that, and I raced a lot, but that was where my real competitive racing started, where I really started getting into it hardcore, wanting to like really push and get every last ounce out of the car. So this car's pretty fun to drive. It doesn't, you know, obviously doesn't quite handle as well as like a Formula 1 car, but here in the United States, this is about as close as we have to Formula 1. You know, it's open wheel, it's got big aero, they go really fast. They're twin turbo V6, I believe. But you know, here in the United States, no one really pays attention to Formula 1. It's not very big here at all. In fact, I would bet most people don't even know what the F stands for in Formula 1, the F1, or they would think it's 2 different things, F1 and Formula 1. But, you know, it's just a general rule. Americans do not like any sort of rules on anything. So any sort of racing where there's really high restrictions and stuff like that is really just not something that Americans are interested in. So, which is unfortunate, but this is about as close as we have over here, and even this is like really, I mean, this is a real like niche thing over here. Like, people don't really know much about Indy cars. Really the only type of racing that gets any attention over here is NASCAR, really. And it's not even really, I mean, it's one of the fastest growing sports in the world, and the stadiums seat a ton of people, but they're mostly all like in the southern United States. And there's just, you know, it's not as, it's definitely nowhere near as big as our other sports like basketball and baseball and, you know, football and all that kind of stuff. But anyway, this is a sweet car. I really enjoyed driving it. I didn't realize at the time when I was racing it, but I was actually really close to beating the rival time. So the rival time was set by a guy who I thought was from Turn 10, but he's actually an actual IndyCar driver. And so the initial time that he had set was like a minute 46, like 1:46.0, something like that. And so I was actually really close without realizing it. I ended up getting a 1:46.3. If I had known that he was at a 1:46, I would have kept on racing, honestly. But I didn't know, and I didn't have much time to race, so this was all I was able to record. But, excuse me, some of these laps are pretty interesting here. Now, what I did notice about this car, something I've noticed about a previous car in the career, which was the tank pool racing truck on Mugello that you got to race in the demo, but I raced a whole series with that. And what I realized was I'm always riding the car all the way up to rev limiter to get the most power out of it before I shift. And what I realized is that with certain cars, that doesn't actually benefit the car at all. In fact, you lose significant amounts of time, because if you think about how often... Oh, that was a terrible turn. So if you think about how often you're shifting, you really lose out. And so what was happening with this car was, I raced I think I raced 13 laps, and for like 6 or 8 laps, the last 6 or 8 laps, I was running pretty much the same times within about 3/10, and I was fairly consistent. And then like 5 laps in a row, I barely made up any time. Like, I think there was probably only a 1/10 difference in my good laps. Now, I had 1 or 2 laps in there that were slightly off, like, you know, you miss shift a couple times, or you do something like that right there, and you end up being like a couple tenths down. But for the consistent laps, for like 5 laps in a row, I was basically at exactly the same time. I wasn't making up any time. And then I had this moment where I thought, dude, you know what? That racing truck I was driving did this. Maybe I should try it with this car. So what I was doing was, instead of shifting almost at the rev limiter, so what you'll see, you might even see it here. And so basically what happens is, as soon as I get to like near the red line, I'm shifting. And before, I was going all the way to rev limiter. So your red line, or you have a red line, which is where the red line starts, and then you have rev limiter, which is where the, then you have the rev limiter, which is where the engine actually maxes out its revs, and you can't go any higher. And so what I was doing was, I started shifting a couple hundred RPM earlier than what I was. And like I said, 5 laps in a row had made up no time, none, like a tenth of a second. And my very first lap, shifting that way, I improved by a full second. 1 whole second. Which was absolutely ridiculous. Oh, that was a good turn. And it totally just made me realize there's something going on with that. So I don't know what that is. I don't know what the issue is as far as that's concerned, as far as using the, not revving the car completely out. As you can see there, my tires are starting to get worn out. But there's just something going on there with that. So I may have to really look into that, and it may have to be a car-by-car, that was a great turn, it may have to be a car-by-car basis to see which cars actually benefit from going all the way to the rev limiter and which cars don't. Yeah, and then also there's been brought to my attention from one of my friends that the Lotus, I keep calling it that, the Renault RS17, it might actually be more beneficial to race without using a clutch. Now, people have said that in my comments before, and some of you guys have said that to me before, and it's not that I discounted what you said, but in my experience, the clutch does add some time. It does take away some time from you. Now, it's not super significant, maybe a tenth or 2, maybe, but... Oh, this was fun. I actually backtracked and went into the pits because I realized my tires were bad. And this is actually, coming up, these next couple laps is actually where I got my fastest time. Now, actually, I guess that's not going to be in the video, unfortunately. But you guys get to see a pit stop. There's a lot of talk about pit stops and people thinking they were going to be animated pit stops and stuff. And but yeah, so if you use the clutch, then what has happened in the previous games has been you've gained a slight amount of time. We're talking a tenth or 2 maybe over the course of a full lap, which is not super significant, but if you're really looking to eke out every last tenth, it is. Now, what it appears in this game is that all of the people at the top of the leaderboards, including people who are absolute legends to me and my friends from previous games who I know are significantly good racers, like top level racers, are all using no clutch. They're just using a regular manual. So I'm going to have to do some experimentation with that, kind of figure out exactly what's happening with that. I have to get a baseline for the car with a clutch, have to get used to the car with a clutch, and then take it off. And if that's the case, I may just take the clutch off completely, since I only really race the higher level cars anyway, but we'll have to see how that goes. So anyway, I really appreciate you guys watching this one. Again, I'm sorry it's been a while since I uploaded a video. I'm really struggling with this software, and it's really getting under my skin, and it's just made me completely uninterested in even trying to make it work. I'm wasting an hour and a half, 2 hours, 3 hours of my time to not have any video to upload, and there's literally no other way for me to upload. So it's been really upsetting to have to rely on that. So I appreciate you guys watching through the end of this one. Make sure you check back soon for another video, and more content to come soon. And guys, we're getting real close to Xbox One X. Real close. Just a couple of weeks and that thing will be out. So I'll be putting up 4K videos once that comes around. So I appreciate you guys. Subscribe if you like my content. Check out my other videos, and I will see you another time. Thank you.